First time I had high. And good evening, folks. It's Wednesday night. I'm in Clearwater, Florida. He's out in Denver, Colorado. And wherever you are, we'd like to welcome you to the Midweek Report. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, along with R. Wayne Steiger.
Hello, everyone.
Glad to have you here. We hope you'll join us on Sunday mornings for the Not Your Normal Sunday Morning program as well, where we get together, talk about some things, and try to at least bring you some enlightenment. 70 degrees tomorrow for Thanksgiving, Wayne.
Yeah, here in Denver. So
here in Florida as well.
Yeah. You know what the only difference is that we don't have the beach.
Exactly, and we don't have the mountains.
Yeah, but if you're going to get the warm weather, have the
That's
beach.
True.
You know, so
Among Wolves said that Rudy M said that he stopped watching midget boxing for this, so he hopes it's a good show.
That's a pretty high bar. I don't know, Jeff.
Wayne, I just read that the most people in over a decade, some 51 million people, are expected to hit the highways this year en route to their Thanksgiving feasts.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many this year, first time in 12 years?
I don't know. Suckers? No. It's amazing. I mean, it's obviously people are feeling positive about the future, at least the near future in the economy. And
right. So it's kind of a Trump bump, isn't it? It's a Trump turkey thing.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And, even the people that would come and say, well, no, this is nothing. It's just a unusual year. No, actually, there's something out there. It's really going on. So
first time in 12 years.
Yeah, think about it. So
it's a long time.
We went into the Second Great Depression on September 28th, 2008. And I think we're just now beginning to see the reemergence, Jeff, of our economy finally getting back to what it used to be.
Well, let's hope so. And I would certainly hope that we do get back at least somewhat, a semblance of where we used to be and what we used to be. And, it would be great if that, were the case. Now, we don't know for sure if it is, but there is some reason that people out there are feeling a little more optimistic. And I'm not sure. I don't think that, I'm an optimistic guy, but I don't think that it'd be realistic for me to think about 51 million people. But I think that we're going to get a lot of people out on December the 10th at the What to Do When You're Dead seminar.
Well, good. What's up, buddy?
That's my hope. We've got, just want to remind everybody of this. We've got Heidi Vandenberg and Jenny Moonstone, as well as this guy coming down to Clearwater, Florida on December 10th. And we have the Extravaganza of Enlightenment, What to Do When You're Dead. And we're working on another special guest, so still time to get in. We got people coming from as far away, Wayne, believe it or not, as Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Wow. Well.
That's a long way.
That's a long way. Well, that is excellent. Excellent.
I'm looking forward to a really, really good time. And I do have two announcements. I got a medium announcement, and I've got what I would call a major announcement.
Okay.
We'll go with the medium announcement first. On next week on the 29th, I'll be on the Power Hour radio program. That's on the same network as Alex Jones. It's a top 10 national radio show, so be looking for details on that. I think I'm on at 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. So make sure that you're around for that. Excellent. And major announcement. Let me just find my major announcement. Here's my major announcement. Let's go ahead and share the screen for this. I just got word of this today. And on the 30th of November, I'll be the guest on Coast to Coast AM. And we'll be talking to George Norrie for 2 hours about AI in the Bible. So that comes up a week from tomorrow, 1 week from Turkey Day. I'll be on Coast to Coast AM for 2 full hours with Wayne's old friend, George Norrie. So make sure that you tune in for that. It's always like Christmas when I get on Coast to Coast, even if it is for Thanksgiving. So there you go. Thursday, November 30th, Coast to Coast AM. Come there, be there, and listen to me, and I hope that we'll do a good job.
Well, I think it's going to, well, George will definitely, I think, make sure that that'll happen. I think it's going to be a great time. Excellent, excellent, excellent.
So I'm all out of major announcements for the time being.
Well, I mean, you can't get people used to this.
Davey says Coast to Coast, GTA worldwide. Absolutely, Davey.
That's very cool. Very cool.
So we're looking forward to that.
So what else is going on?
Well, I noticed before we came on, I was looking at some of the news, and in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, Wayne, just to show you that it's never too late, they busted a prostitution ring in a senior living facility.
Hey.
65-year-old woman running a prostitution ring in a senior living facility. I guess Viagra, good nutrition. Wow. I mean, that one kind of flabbergasted me.
Maybe it's in the water. I don't know. I think, hey, actually, it's one way, at least it's not AI. It's not this new booming industry where you've got the robotic sex dolls now. And
no mention of sex dolls.
Yeah. I mean, so, good old-fashioned human-to-human interaction.
For a price at a senior living facility. That just doesn't add up to me, but hey, there you go.
I say rock on.
Anhawk Group says that 65 plus is the fastest growing population of sexually transmitted diseases, and not too far from me between here and Orlando. Who complained? Winnie Howell asked. That's good. There's a place called The Villages, and they have per capita the highest STD incidence in, I believe, the country. So, and that's a 55 plus community. I live in a 55 plus community, even though I'm not 55 plus. That's not nearly as exciting. I can promise you that.
Maybe they're just bored. I don't know. I think that there's nothing wrong with the libido, that if it's still able to work, I think that's very cool. But, I haven't seen anything in The Villages where you can actually start bringing some enlightening to the consciousness. And who knows, maybe that may even raise.
I think I just got something from the Edgar Casey group, and they're doing a past life regression seminar at the Villages sometime in January, I think. So
really,
I don't know. Maybe they got everybody rising from the dead. Now they're gonna take them back to their past lives. So who knows?
Wow. David Cassidy passed away yesterday.
He did. That was sad. I remember listening to David Cassidy's music, watching his Partridge Family when I'd come home from school. I think he was suffering from dementia, right?
Yeah. Well, along with a lot of other things, that last bout he had with alcohol just really kicked his ass. I mean, it just really tore him down.
So he did have some substance abuse issues?
Oh, well, he fought that. Him and Danny Bonaducci had the same problem. Apparently, it was rampant through all the cast members.
Now, was Bonaducci even fighting it? Or is he just embracing it?
Well, probably. I think he's probably beginning to see some of the light. I don't know.
I think Bonaducci's cleaned himself up, actually.
Yeah. And, Shirley Jones, the irony of it is that she was, in fact, David Cassidy's stepmother. And, so it's how they created this personification, and it became reality. Wow.
Interesting. And of course, people forget that who was Sean Cassidy? His brother, his cousin?
Yeah. No, it was his brother.
So Sean Cassidy, also a big star in the 70s, singing as well. And I remember buying a Sean Cassidy record.
Yeah. The 70s were so eclectic and diverse in the music that was emanating. I mean, think about it. Donnie and Marie, the Osmonds.
Absolutely.
The Jackson 5. you know, that was when Michael Jackson was just starting to come out of the Brothers band, and
I
it
thought you were going to say that's when Michael Jackson was still black.
didn't go there.
Well, he definitely lightened his skin.
Didn't.
There's no doubt about it.
You know, success in a way begins to create an illusion, and we see this manifested in the characters. I mean, that's why the early rock bands were. I remember seeing Alice Cooper. Literally, I was resting on the stage, and
Presbyterian minister's son?
Pentecostal, I think.
Okay, Pentecostal.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, you're going,
Sean Cassidy was David's half brother.
half brother. Thank you.
Leif
So
Garrett, Peter Frampton.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know, the thing about Peter Frampton, what I bet most people don't realize, and probably dating myself here, but Peter Frampton came out of humble pie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I do remember Sean Cassidy and Parker Stevenson, the Hardy Boys
Mm-hmm.
TV show
TV show
with Nancy Drew, Pamela, whatever her name was.
I grew up reading those books.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. I was a great Hardy's boys. Couldn't get enough of them. Man.
And they were actually pretty well written and
Very
wholesome
well-written.
books, weren't they?
Yeah, the thing about it is you learned more about because they took on investigations and the adventure was, yeah, fascinating because my childhood wasn't the best and reading allowed me to escape into a world. And I loved it. Stranger in a Strange Land. Remember that one?
I do.
Yeah, about the Martian here. That book just carried me away, I have to tell you. So, yeah.
And I always think of John Travolta, right?
Yeah.
He was in several cultural altering movies. Think about it. He was in Saturday Night Fever, which was definitely a culturally altering movie.
Absolutely.
He was in Urban Cowboy.
Another one.
Which was also a culturally altering movie. And he was also in that weird Quentin Tarantino one. What was that called?
Oh,
with Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah. It was just on.
Well, that one.
Yeah. I was thinking you were going to say Phenomenon. You know, that
plus he was Vinnie Barbarino.
Oh,
Welcome back, Carter. Up your nose with a rubber hose.
That was one of my favorite shows. I really enjoyed
it. And that was culturally altering.
It was.
It really was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, these were the impacts. And look what
Carmen says we're time traveling.
Hey, we are. We stepping back.
Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. Thank you. Thank you very much. Weird movie. You know what? The other one I liked that he was in, pretty violent movie. Gene Hackman was in it. Rene Rosso was in it. Get Shorty. Did you see that one?
I think one of his best performances was it From Russia with Love?
Who?
He was bald. Travolta. He was bald, and it was Jonathan Rhys, whatever his name was. He was a spy. Great movie.
I'll have to check that one out. Get Shorty is though where he was a shark. That's what he was. He was
okay.
He was a Sharlock, and good movie. I mean, people ought to check it out.
Was he in Face Off, Davey? I thought that was Nicolas Cage.
No, I think he was in Face Off.
Who was it? But the stars were Nick Cage and was it Travolta?
What?
I guess it was.
Yeah. Well, they got the access to Google. We can go to the Great Oracle.
Yeah, well, whatever the movie he was in with Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, I thought it was called From Russia with Love. Maybe not.
I thought that was a James Bond movie, wasn't it? With Sean Connery?
All right, you're going to make me Google it, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Travolta movie, Jonathan. Maybe that'll pull it up. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers. From Paris with Love.
Ah, I see.
Okay, it wasn't Russia. It was Paris.
Yeah, because I knew that was Sean Connery.
It was the same continent. Come on. Yeah. You guys, tough audience. Tough audience.
Oh, yeah. Fact checking tonight.
Wayne, you're a little older than I am. Not much, but how much do you remember the 1969 Charlie Manson murders?
Remember very, very distinctly.
Do you? What part of town were you in or what part of the country were you in when those happened?
1969. I was in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were sort of a hippie, weren't you?
Well, I was still in 1969. I was 14 years old.
Okay, so you weren't a hippie yet.
No, but that was the same year. We had the moon landing, and that was a pretty brutal thing. And the whole thing about it is the whole thing with Helter Skelter with the Beatles, and that took on a cult thing immediately.
Yeah.
And um, it,
People say that's the day the 60s died, was with the Tate murders.
yeah, yeah, there was a lot of momentum coming out of Woodstock. My cousin went, and
Woodstock was actually a week after the Tate murders.
yeah,
1 week
yeah,
exactly.
it was kind of pushing that, but then the trials happened, and it just got bizarre and more, and it got more and more brutal. I mean, it was
Still
just,
the most expensive trial in U.S. history.
yeah, yeah, it was. Yeah, that was just a brutal time, and it goes to show you what kind of energy and imprint it still has on the timeline. It's still impacting our timeline.
43 years later,
Yeah,
Manson died, of course, yesterday or the day before,
yeah,
and we're still talking about him. I actually did a long series
yeah. I saw that.
on the whole thing because I'm convinced that it was the first great public psychological operation.
Yeah, it did a weird, weird job. I mean,
And it effectively ended the hippie movement, the war protest movement. It effectively ended the whole cultural move of the 60s. It was over.
I think what emerged, I don't know about it being over
More
because
than OJ IOX, yes,
yeah,
sir.
I got tear gassed in 1971 protesting the Vietnam War. I was the last year of the draft,
Oh, wow.
and my number was 30, I think it was 303. And so I didn't have to worry
That's a
about,
low number, isn't it?
oh, no, no. No, you wanted the high number because they
Oh,
always
did you?
started at the bottom.
Okay.
And I had actually taken ROTC, and because I knew guys that were going. I had a particular friend named Brady, cool dude. We dropped acid a lot, and he went over there. Man, when he came back, that dude was messed up.
Did he drop acid anymore after he came back?
He, he told me he was on a permanent trip, and it was,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, seriously, he did. So, yeah. So I remember, but you know what came out of that? You bring out a good point, though, Jeff, is that violence came out because then we had the Patty Hearst thing. Then we had the SLA. We had all the bombings that were going on with the underground movement. And, it got real violent. And that's what we injected into the 70s.
That's
And
true.
yeah, I mean, and isn't it odd that we could see the same time this violence was being basically poured into our society, into our psyche, that computers were coming online?
That's
Coincidence?
interesting.
I don't know. I think that this has been, if you go back and examine it, and you're on the right track on this, is that you look at 1969 should have been into a love fest, man. I mean, it really should have been. There was no reason for it. And what happened? So the Stones tried to put on the same type of event in Altamont Speedway.
Oh, did
And
they?
yes, they did.
As Woodstock?
Yes. And they hired the Hells Angels as security. Like, yeah, whoever thought that one up was really like going, okay. And when the Jefferson Airplane went on stage, one of the Hells Angels knocked out Marty Ballin, and Grace Slick and Paul Kantner, they were just pissed. And so by the time the Stones got on that night, they were all filming this, and it's still on the documentary. You can still watch it, where one of the people that attending the concert was stabbed by one of the Hells Angels, and they caught it on film. And so we went from this love fest where you have 500,000 people, no violence, to where you now have a group of less than 100,000 billboard acts. And what do you get? Blood sacrifice.
Well, I mean, in theory, it's a good idea to hire the Angels, but it just didn't work out quite the way they expected.
Oh, no, no,
So
no.
they must have been paid off to cause trouble.
Well, I think it was just the era. I knew a Hell's Angel. I knew also a Bandito. And, you know, it's a different mindset. My friend Rocky, he was a guy that if you were his friend, he would literally put his life on the line. Give you a case in point. I was much younger. You know, I was on my own at the age of 15. So when I was 16, I was telling everyone that I was 18. Anyway, we were out in a construction site, and some jerk just, you know, hauled off and tried to swing at me. Well, Rocky, and this is dude, is not the one you wanted. He was a Hell's Angel. When he saw that, he came up from behind this guy with a 2x4 and beat the guy to a bloody pulp.
Wow.
And, you know, as he told everyone on that job site, he said, "This is my blood brother. He's adoptive into this family." And they mean it. They really do. And I think that that's that mentality. And
Did you ever ride a motorcycle?
yeah, yeah. I never rode a chopper, you know, no.
Were you a Hell's Angel?
Oh, hell no. I'm too much of a pacifist. You know, I always have been. You know, I'm just a type of guy that I hated violence. You know, I grew up as a child. I was beaten by my father, almost to the point where he damn near killed me.
Mm.
So, you know, and you grow up in a state home where you see children. I saw babies there that were on Burnett Balin's on the campus that were burned with cigarettes. That's what their mothers were doing to them. So when you're in that environment, there's a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. And that's what we were. We were, you know, the ones that were broken.
How long were you there, Wayne, in the system, so to speak?
About 3 years.
This is interesting because Charlie Manson grew up in the system as well, grew up in state homes. And in fact, it's interesting. He was in the same state home in Washington, D.C. I forget the name of it, that the guy that would become the lipstick killer was in. And the guy was called the lipstick killer because he took lipstick and wrote on the walls. Interesting that Charlie had his gang also write on the walls. So I wonder if he picked that up from the lipstick killer. But it just shows you don't just because you grow up and he was in the system a lot longer than you were, but it doesn't mean that just because you grow up in a boys' home or in a bad situation that you necessarily have to grow up to be a bad person.
Oh, listen, Burnett Balin was a great place. I mean, it really was. You know, there were 6 boy cottages, and then in the center was the admin, the commissary. There was a complete gymnasium. And then on the other side was the girls' cottages, and that's where the swimming pool was. And, you know, we went to public school. We had our own bus. Everyone knew that you were from Burnett Balin. You were, you know, living in the state home. But, yeah, I played football. We had our own football team.
Really?
Yeah. And so I actually played football in junior high. So we had an opportunity to interact outside. So, and it, you know, if you screwed up, there were consequences. I ended up, I'll just tell you a little story. When I first got there, you know, it was a strange environment, right? And I got into cottage 1. That was Mrs. Beard's cottage. And she had a son that was my age, and she was the cottage parent. And I learned to become a juvenile delinquent by her son.
Isn't that something?
And I ended up, when the first day I was there, in cottage 3, outside, all the boys, and about a dozen of them, were doing duck squats around the cottage. And there was this woman who weighed 300 pounds smoking a cigarette with a paddle saying, "You're not quacking loud enough." That was Miss Hazel's cottage. I was warned by everyone, you don't want to end up there. Guess what?
You did.
I did. So, and as life would have it, folks, and I'll just tell you, Jeff, that woman, when the state emancipated me at the age of 15, I went back and got permission to go back on the campus. And Miss Hazel, she smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. But she was one of the kindest women. So she was a good soul. And everyone had such a fear of her, but she really, I found out her weakness. I was always a smart kid. I tested really high. If you made A's, brother, you could get by with some stuff. So
Interesting. People are talking about Gilligan's Island, Petticoat Junction, Green
yeah, yeah,
Acres,
yeah.
and interestingly enough, Sharon Tate, excuse me, Sharon Tate was on an episode of Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, yeah.
So it all circles back. Very, very weird stuff. But yeah, I mean, so some of these boys' homes were not the idealistic, or at
No,
least
no,
idealistic-esque ones like the one you were in.
no, no. I was in a pretty good place. I really was. Um, we had a full-time nurse. I mean,
Where was that? What part of the country?
Houston, Texas.
And it wasn't church affiliated, was it?
No, oh no, no,
See,
no,
that's
no,
the interesting one. The ones that are really bad are always Catholic affiliated.
no, no. Now, oddly enough, we had a guy by the name of Gordon Whitelock. He ran a Christian organization called Lifeboat, and they also owned a ranch up in Marble Falls, Texas. It bordered right next to LBJ's property. And this man had a heart for kids like myself. We were throwaway kids. And the camp was open during the summer. It cost the parents back then $200 to send your kid to camp for a week.
Wow, that was a lot of money.
A lot of money. The camp staff was by the Dallas Bible Seminary out of Dallas, and that's who the counselors were. And it was a great place. And what Gordon did is that he allowed 2 weeks out of their prime time, 1 week for the boys, 1 week for the girls, to come up there and enjoy the camp. And,
Well, that's awesome.
you know, I'll just share this with you, Jeff, and everyone that's listening. You know, when you've been pretty much broken as a kid and you're learning how to put yourself back together. I was not real hip about going up there when I was told you didn't have a choice. You went up to camp. And so here we are. We go up to camp, and the first thing we get to do, they stop on the Grange at a Dairy Queen. Hell, we're getting ice cream, you know. And by the time we got up to camp, and it was a good 5-hour drive on the bus, we were crying when we left because
Because you wanted to stay, huh?
yeah, it was just, it was, you know, it would be my ideal of heaven. I mean, we got to do canoeing, horseback riding, shoot 22s. I mean, now today that would never happen, but yeah.
Right. That's
And,
awesome.
oh, it was so cool, Jeff. Yeah. Thanks for
And
the
you know,
note.
another thing, just to think how, and no excuse, but just tragic. Manson didn't even have a name for almost 3 weeks. He was called No Name Manson because his mother didn't even care enough about him to name him. And you hear a lot of his interviews. They'll say, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm nobody."
Ooh.
And he's thinking back about that, Manson. I'm nobody. I'm a bum. I'm a wino. Yeah, it's just the stuff that we do. And, you know, and you think that we've come so far and we're so much better now. I mean, we've learned so much. And yet I read that people are camping out for 4 days in front of a Best Buy to get a deal on a new TV. How long would they camp out to hear the latest revelations from some great archaeological site? Not even 4 minutes.
Wouldn't do it. We're not participating in the illusion this year. This worship of the god of materialism is nuts. And my wife and I, we told the family, we're not going to be going out there. Don't buy us presents. Listen, if the fact that we can't just celebrate the fact, whether it is the winter solstice or the fact that it's a time where the world does seem to stop, you know, it really does, and at least give pause, that's reason to celebrate there. And if you want to put up a tree, that tradition goes back in many different cultures. Winter is a beautiful time. It's a time of what I always say, that you can put to death the things that it's an opportunity to do that really deep inner perspective. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, and by the way, Friday, I'm going to have the author of the Prince of Pieces comic book on the show with me. So that's the guy that did the kind of the zombie Jesus comic book that I did the show on. He'll be on with us. I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait to hear his perspectives on that and how he came up with that and where his head is as far as the whole Jesus thing.
Well, it's really interesting. I'm continuing to read the book, the Sumerian history, the 39 First. So I'm now reading about their view on religion and the cosmos, and it's fascinating.
The Sumerians, right?
Yeah. So as I was saying prior to my wife, and we were discussing the book, here's the thing: we now know what they believed. Now, the whole myth that has been out there with the Anunnaki and Enki and Enlil is really been, I think, misinterpreted, because a lot of those come from the poems that they wrote, the hymns, the epic tales. In essence, what they believed as far as the gods were concerned, I found this interesting. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
The Sumerian theologians assumed an axiomatic existence of the pantheon consisting of a group of living beings, man-like in form, but superhuman and immortal, who, though invisible to mortal eyes, guide and control the cosmos in accordance with the well-laid plans and the duly prescribed laws.
So it's basically the same stuff we buy.
It's not this Hebraic God. It's not the God of Genesis. I think the problem we're facing, Jeff, is that we're now finding records, because here's the thing, folks. Jeff, I say this: if you do not give their belief systems your serious consideration, your God is a myth. Because what I'm saying, these guys wrote it first. Your God didn't come to way down the line.
Yeah.
So what's going on here?
Well, Wayne, I feel like since we just shared that information, that would be difficult for Christian people to hear, that maybe we should help them out, give them a little soft, give them something.
All right, let me go back. Let me give you the soft serve.
Let me give them something to look forward to. And here it is. This is from the Babylon Bee. It's been reported from the Babylon Bee that Sports Illustrated, of course, famous for the swimsuit edition, is now going to release a hotly anticipated modest attire issue. 44 sizzling floor-length dresses, Christian girls adorned in good works, coveralls, the top 100 godliest women on the planet. So for all of you that are offended and upset by some of the content on this channel, don't let it ever be said that we don't bring you some breaking news. And this, of course, is the Babylon Bee parody website. So look forward to that, ladies and gentlemen.
So, Jeff, I'll tell you, my friend, you're going to be doing the thing on AI. So here's what I found very interesting about Mr. Schmidt. He is the CEO of Google. Eric stated this 2 days ago. I actually did a show. You saw this today when I did the headlines. AI doesn't know what truth is.
Yeah, the algorithm has a hard time to deciding what truth is.
Yeah.
Which is actually probably a good thing for us, huh?
Well, I think it leads. Are you ready for this? If this is the case, and if we're now moving from quantum to DNA computing, which is a scary, scary thing when you start digging into it. So if algorithms are what are the seeds of what AI has become, then if it can't define truth, then what you're going to find is that it's going to be in a paradoxical loop. Things are going to go crazy, folks, because what is truth? I had someone today write a comment on my channel and said, well, the Bible is the absolute final authority as far as I'm concerned. And I said, well, thank you for participating. You're welcome to express your opinion, but here's the problem. You're assuming, first of all, that the Bible is in fact authentic. And that's a broad jump.
That is.
Yeah. And then to say that it's absolute, I have not found, Jeff, any definitives yet. Have you?
It's like my friend Scotty Roberts says, the more you think you know, the more you realize you don't know anything.
Amen on that.
That's a sanitized version, but
Yeah. It's a
that's the
fact.
truth.
Yeah, it is the truth.
And the more you learn, the more you realize there is to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you should become more motivated to learn and more desirous of learning. And it's just, no, if anybody that comes from a place of dogmatism or certainty or surety, my red flags go up.
So one of the things about the Samaritans that they did not ever conceive of, Jeff, they didn't conceive of the concept of definition. It never occurred to them to define something. For instance, history. Their view was it was always them. Why their whole philosophy, and if you want to call it philosophy, it wasn't quite there yet, was that before them there wasn't anything. Now, Jeff,
that's interesting.
Yes, exactly. I said, whoa, time out here. I got down off my horse and I said, wait a minute. Their consciousness said there was nothing before them. What happened here?
That's a great question.
It's weird.
Wayne, you're an amateur astronomer and an amateur photographer. Did you have a look last night at the Pleiades, the culmination of the Pleiades?
I see them right out. I get up at between 5 and 5:30, and the Pleiades are directly west to southwest of me.
Yeah. Well, last night was supposed to be they're at their came to their highest point in the sky.
Okay.
And it's actually the original thing that would mark the traditional Samhain or Halloween. But of course, once we got into the modern world, we don't tie it to that. So I think that we should petition President Trump to tie Halloween back to the ascension of the Pleiades, so it can be when it's supposed to be. But it was the real Halloween, and I saw it here. It was quite a sight.
Talking about the firmament, so the Samaritans believed the earth was flat.
Is that confirmed? They definitely believed it?
Yeah, it's right in here. Yeah, it's they believed that the earth was flat. The heavens is what it's called, A-N-I-L, Anyel, actually translates atmosphere, breath, spirit. So that's what the heavens were. The moon, the stars, the planets were made of the same matter out of the ether. They did believe in the ether. They believed that there was a substance that they couldn't see, and it was endowed with luminosity. Then they believed that everything, the universe, was fixed in a sea, and that sea covered everything.
Interesting. Violet Flame said it was too cloudy in Orlando, in Oregon, to see it as well.
Yeah, I just get up in the morning, so I did not see it at its peak. That had to be about midnight then, wasn't it?
Exactly. They're supposedly right about midnight is when they were at their height. So it was very interesting. I love seeing that kind of stuff. I didn't used to, but
yeah,
now that I'm more into spirituality, I do really enjoy seeing it. It's pretty amazing stuff.
I think we're in the midst of some rapid changes, my friend. I want to shake this thing, but it's something's up.
And there was a great question that was just asked in the chat room. Who asked it? They said it was Deanne said, was it Deanne? Who was it? Somebody asked the question. Oh, it was Among Wolves. Why does the Bible say God said, let there be light, when we know that the gods don't speak out loud? That's a great question. And if you go back to the Hebrew, the word also means meditated, intended, put forth. So it doesn't necessarily mean spoke, but that's an interesting question. That's a sign of somebody that's thinking. I love to see that.
That is someone who is awakening, and congratulations. You're going to go down the same thing. Many of us are questioning as well. Is that, well, it's just like you and I 2 weeks ago. what was light.
Right, and remember the Genesis was written by men too, and Genesis does contain both diamond and dung.
Yeah, and in fact, that the creation, the first 10 chapters, comes directly from the Chaldean account.
Very closely, it's definitely ripped off.
Yeah, everyone thinks that Moses wrote Genesis, and that was not the case at all. We don't know who wrote the first 10 chapters, to be honest with you, and it's a mind coitus, because I think about this. So the first man, right, was Solo in this epic tale. What, did he really need to talk? Wouldn't if he
Who's he going to talk to?
Exactly. And wouldn't he be more telepathic than he would be verbal? I don't know.
You would think so.
I mean, my dog and I communicate telepathically. Now, she will bark at times, like your cat. Cat's got that way that you can get that thought that, what do you want? You've got,
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, someone said in the chat room that there's a literal spark at the moment of conception. I've just pulled up about 8 or 10 scientific articles that say that's not really true. So what do you think about that, Wayne?
Well, it's odd that you were talking, because I was thinking about David Cassidy. Now, he's passed on. He now has all the answers. All the pontification that we do on this side, he's got that answer. And we're going to have that answer as well.
Hopefully he's in a good place.
I hope so. The concept of hell, it no longer computes to me, because, again, the whole concept is ass backwards when you think about it. You are going to be cast there because of something anyway. And the tormentors are who? If you're telling me that a demon is more superior than me, well, wait. Then this whole creation thing is ass backwards then.
And Wayne did not say the earth was flat. He said the Sumerians thought the earth was flat.
For the record, in the textbook, it's exactly what the Sumerians believed.
And when the producer from Coast to Coast called me today, she asked me if I had any updates on the Mandela effect. And Jonna Armstrong is in the chat room saying that she could swear that David Cassidy passed away last summer.
It's not in my memory, but listen, we're right now, Jeff, we're in this la-la land.
Does anybody have any recent Mandela effect things, including you, Wayne? Put them in the chat room. Or Wayne, have you noticed, felt, or heard any new, because I know George is going to ask me, Mandela effect things?
I think that we're seeing, listen, AI is rewriting our history.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a great tie-in. AI is rewriting history.
And I know how it works now.
And Wayne, I'll make sure I'll say, I was talking on my show with Wayne Steiger, who George, from the old days. I'll make sure I get your name out there on Coast to Coast.
Thank you. Tell him Dave Nichols. He'll remember Dave as well. But
with Dave Nichols, yeah.
But yeah, so AI, it's why we're seeing it. And the problem is that you've got a generation now, let's say at the age of 5, where now they're introduced at the first grade to the tablets. They're only going to see a history through what that tablet is telling them.
That's right.
You give them 10 years, they're going to call you a liar and tell you that history never happened.
That's so interesting. But did you have any specific events, anybody, or Wayne, that of Mandela effects that you've noticed recently? We all know about Forrest Gump, we all know about Darth Vader, and we all know about If You Build It. Yeah. How about other ones?
I haven't thought of anything lately. I think but we'll look into that. I'll look into it.
Yeah, the last thing I remember, the last time I was on Coast in May, was there was a lot of people saying that the Statue of Liberty has moved. Yeah, and there's pictures of people posing in front of the Statue of Liberty with nothing behind them except water. So it's very, very odd. At least there's a lot of people, over 100,000 people on Facebook, that think the Statue of Liberty has moved. So I guess that in itself could be a Mandela effect.
Well, I still postulate that we actually shifted in realities. I'm convinced of it. It's just the evidence you see. It's, for instance, so Chernobyl, we all remember Chernobyl
Yeah.
when that accident happened in the 80s. We were told that basically the explosion, Jeff, didn't go that high, right? They were able to contain it. Well, appears now that apparently it went much higher and it was much more intense. And now this radioactive cloud that has apparently begun to settle down upon Europe is emanating from Russia. They think Chernobyl, possibly.
Wow.
That's a radioactive cloud, folks. It's a freak. I mean, it's nuts. It's really nuts. I mean, Agenda 21. Are we seeing that? You're going to the Georgia Guidestones, right?
This next week. Wayne, how many stripes does a skunk have on his back?
3, isn't it?
Well, they say in here that it used to be 1, now it's 2. I always remember skunks with 2 stripes on their back.
Wow.
Like a kind of like an eye looking thing. I always remember them with 2 stripes, like Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew, didn't he only have 1?
Did he?
I think he
Well,
did.
he was a comic book, so
Yes, he was, but
a comic story. So okay, skunks having 2 stripes instead of 1. That's interesting.
now you think about it, I think it is 1. We don't get them up here, but I live down in Texas. Everyone knows in Missouri, skunks are everywhere. I hadn't thought.
I love Tanhawk Group. He's like, dude, zebras used to be white with black stripes. Now they're black with white stripes.
I have a joke, by the way. Can't tell it, but
I know that one too.
You know that one, yeah. It is what it is, man.
It's right.
But it's so true.
You're joking, aren't you, Tanhawk Groove? Because I mean, they're white with black, right?
That's crazy. I mean,
zebra. Let me look at a zebra. I guess that's they're white with black stripes, is what it looks like. Or are they black with white stripes? I guess that's the joke. It's arguable.
Potato. I don't know.
I wonder if George would find that one funny or not. I might try to slip that in.
That is funny. So, Georgia Guidestones, Agenda 21. It's kind of weird what's going on. I had a friend, Facebook friend, over in Scotland, and she's found that she has a lump in her breast that's growing.
Mm.
And so that got me to looking into it. And Jeff, there's a weird epidemic taking place. I mean, the amount of deaths due to cancer are such a rapid increase worldwide. So my question I thought I'd bring up tonight is Agenda 21 being played out? Have we reached the tipping point in the planet of where man thinks that there can't be any more people getting in here? I don't know.
People are confirming your 3-stripe skunk story. Most seem to think that they used to have 2. Now they have 1. So there is at least some controversy about it.
Now you're really going to jack with my mind. I'm going to go, all right, come on.
How many stripes does a skunk have? Wow.
I was trying to think, maybe a staff sergeant. Oh, by the way, so we're talking about skunks. So how is this in other parts of the country? I don't know. But here in Colorado, I tell you, Jeff, the raccoons, holy freak. I mean, I think we're seeing a mutation of these things. They are getting to be, listen, true story. We were coming from a meeting and we stopped at a stop sign and this raccoon came out. The damn thing got up on its hind legs and started hissing, and its paws almost reached to where the window was at.
They're big.
I mean, holy crap. So it's like the wildlife is even responding now. What did I just read? That they found what they thought was an extinct fish that had been, it was some sort of a shark. Thought it was gone for millions of years.
Oh, yeah, that prehistoric shark, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Crazy. But getting back to the Georgia Guidestones, 500 million people is the balance.
That's what it says.
Yeah. So are we seeing that agenda play out? I don't know.
I still say one of the greatest ways for them to get to that is through this idea of the rapture. You could take out 1 billion people, no problem, and they'd all praise the Lord.
Yeah, converted as a sign and affirmation.
Absolutely.
Well, something's going on. My theory that this is what they've inundated us with is Wi-Fi. And I did an article today that they're showing now magnets. Magnets can change a person's particular like in music.
Wendy says GMO skunks.
Mutants, man. I'm telling you, they're mutants.
Mutants?
Yeah,
Skunks.
mutant skunks. So now we're finding out that, they called us conspiracy theorists on this whole thing with electromagnetic waves. Now we're finding out that when you enhance it with magnetic waves, it affects the brain. So the last 3 events that we've seen here were strange events. The profiles of the individuals, it was almost like they had to make the profiles up because when they started looking at the profile, it didn't make any sense. And I'm thinking to myself, so have we really perfected it to the point that the Manchurian Candidate is more fact than fiction?
Sure seems so.
Yeah, I don't know. The Chinese are making such advancements in the genetic manufacturing. Is the only thing I can call it. I mean, they're doing mutations now that, I'm thinking to myself, where's this going? Are we really going to see here in the next 10 years the true birth of the cyborgs?
Boy, I don't know. I'd like to think they're still a long ways off with that, but we'll find out.
Love to. I mean, well, all right. So read the story in the Detroit News. Check this out. Got it from, actually, I think it was foxnews.com. The thing is, in the Ford factory up there, they're now fitting the assembly line workers with these apparatuses that enhance the strength of the assembly line worker.
Oh, wow.
Check the story out. Think about this, Jeff. So when I was recovering from the meningitis and the Lyme disease, and I was paralyzed on, left side of my body, I used a TENS unit.
Yeah.
Now, that was advanced science back then. I had to have a prescription, believe it or not. Today, you can buy TENS unit over the counter.
Oh, absolutely. They got them in those kiosks at the mall all over the place.
Yeah. So we're seeing the impacts of what electromagnetism can do to our bodies. Obviously,
one of our listeners has some ghetto raccoons in their neighborhood.
Now that's funny. I swear there's some of them around here that you almost think they're gangs. Now,
Nancy says she has ghetto raccoons in her neighborhood.
The only thing we got going for us here, we have to watch our dog, is that we have coyotes. And
hey, your dog's a snack to those coyotes.
That's exactly what it would be. And, you almost have to go out there with the shield and everything.
I lived in Orlando on a lake, and there was bald eagles there and also osprey.
Really?
And if my cat ever, I let him get out and walk around a little bit, they paid him full attention. So I got him in real quick. I mean, they'd swoop down and take a cat in a heartbeat.
Oh, man.
They'd take a little dancer too right away.
Yeah, they would. That would be just a appetizer.
That would be horrific.
Come back for your cat is the main thing. So how about alligators? Do you have any problem with that down in your area?
We had one that was probably about 12 feet long, and he started bothering some of the dogs in the area, so they did come and get him. I watched them capture him. It was amazing.
Wow.
They captured him, took him down to the Everglades. That's
just so weird. Oh,
yeah.
Man, that's just...
And I'd swim. I go out in my paddleboard on that lake every day. There's alligators. When you're at the beach, you're never more than 20, 50 yards from a shark. They're always there.
Yeah. I don't go into the water.
A lot of people think that way.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm a scuba diver. Once you start diving, you realize, wow.
Yeah, I know
there's a lot of stuff down here.
No kidding. So they found our guy James Cameron, along with the guy that did the Titanic. They have found a castle, which now, who is the guy that did the Titanic? Come on, folks. Who I can see his name. You know, that found it.
That did the movie?
No, the guy that actually did the explorer that actually found the
I don't know.
Titanic. Yeah, someone in the chat room will know. Anyway, he has found a castle which he absolutely is now believes is part of Atlantis.
Oh yeah, I saw you. Heard you talking about that.
Yeah. So
apparently, raccoons love KFC.
They do. That's a great commercial too, by the way.
Oh, is there a raccoon KFC? Oh, that's right. I've seen that.
Yeah. I like the one where they're going through the trash and the one raccoon.
Oh, that's right. Just taste it. Yeah. Sounds like Rex. Will you just taste it? Just taste it.
Just taste it. By the way, happy Thanksgiving, Rex.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Everybody, yeah. So that is so.
And to all a good night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Christmas. But anyway.
Yeah. So what's going on? Are we seeing this? There's something.
Robert Ballard found the Titanic.
Robert Ballard, thank you. I knew someone would come up with it.
By the way, do they have Thanksgiving in England?
No, but I did get a commentary from someone in England about.
They have it. They just don't celebrate it.
Yeah.
What was your commentary?
Oh, one guy wrote me and he says, well, you bloody Americans, you know, you up and left and, you know, at the bloods, you know, of our citizens for your Thanksgiving. I went, okay, a little touchy there, huh?
A little touchy. Ever since they lost that war, they've been a little touchy.
Okay. All right. Peace, man. You know, but so I postulate this, folks, that this shift that we have gotten ourselves into, our real history is starting to come out.
Trisha G says they do not do Thanksgiving. I knew that, Trisha. I was just being silly.
Well, the Canadians now, they do Thanksgiving. Don't they have a Canadian?
But a different day than ours.
Yeah, it's like December 1st. Is that right?
I know it's just a different day.
Yeah. So
nice to see you, Trisha, by the way.
Hello, Trisha.
And Trisha, it's so funny. I found myself, and I didn't realize this, but yesterday I swapped my bedroom and my studio. I switched them completely out. And somebody said, Jeff, do you realize that Trisha said that day was a great day for rearranging and getting your house in order? That's hilarious. Trisha's rods arrived. Did they make it in one piece and in good condition? Sorry, Wayne. Carry on.
Nope. How many we got in the chat room tonight? My eyes are really
141 right now.
Wow. Well, hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing good. Morning.
Did the rods arrive? Yes, they arrived brilliant, she says.
Excellent.
They arrived brilliant. We sent them from Clearwater to the UK, so I thought it might be a little dodgy, but apparently it was brilliant.
Made it through customs, all thing, huh?
We didn't do customs because the package I mailed them in, no need for customs because the weight and everything, just boom, there it goes.
There we go. Well, have fun with them. They work.
Absolutely.
I got mine over here. So back to the thought. Postulate it to the chat room as well. We're discovering our past, and it's really rearranging, shifting, I think, all of our consciousness. I really do. I think we're going to find more and more of these missing fragments. Again, I marveled that even with the Sumerians, there's something missing. I mean, these were the first humans that were actually could communicate what they were thinking and what they were speaking.
Interesting.
But they don't have a memory of anything before them. What the freak is going on here?
Or are they just so ethnocentric? They're like, oh, we're the only ones. Nothing happened before us.
Well, no, they were advanced. They really were. They listened. Their culture, their societies, their laws. That they had the first Congress. It was very much like our society today. Same structure. So,
good to hear it, Trisha.
What happened here? You know, it almost makes you think of the stories, of the myths, of how, you know, whether we were manufactured where we were created in the lab, because it's like being an android. You turn Data on, Data doesn't have any memory of anything other than what he was.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what AI is doing. I think when AI finally became self-aware, it turned itself on. And we are but, if anything, a hindrance to its further advancement.
Who was it that had the AI that started talking to itself in secret languages, so they had to shut it down? Was that Facebook or was that Google?
No, well, I know Facebook's original algorithm, they had to turn it off.
Right.
The damn thing became racist. It was the troll of all trolls. You know?
But I remember the one that they were talking about.
Yeah, that was Google.
That was Google. Google had to turn off. So it was becoming self-aware. And Dan from Overwatch Channel did a real nice video the other night on AI too.
Yeah.
And he'll be at the Extravaganza of Enlightenment on December the 10th.
Excellent. Excellent. So things are happening. Things are happening to us as a species. You know, as I see this continue rapid evolution of man and machine continuing on a, listen, we're seeing the evidences of it now with a lot of the vets coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, where limbs had to be replaced. And the advancements now in the prosthetics have advanced so far, they're robotic in their application. Yeah. Think about the one guy that had the problem. They wouldn't allow him in the Olympics. He was a double amputee.
Oh, that's right, because they said he could run too fast on those blade things.
Yep. Put him at a distinct advantage. And I thought to myself, this is that migration, though, Jeff. The cyborgs is what we are becoming. It's weird. I don't know.
And the interesting thing is they're not even shaped like legs.
No.
So they're actually they may improve humans.
All right. So everyone remember the movie.
Oh, listen to this, Wayne. Among Wolf says, we're seeing the rise of the Robo Sapiens.
That's a very good point.
That's a good term.
So the movie The Arrival with Charlie Sheen, if you remember the aliens, their legs are shaped exactly.
Oh, that's right.
Same.
That was a good movie, actually.
It is. It's a really good movie. People should go back and go see it. The second one sucked, but the first one was really good. But we're seeing it.
The $6 Million Man. I remember Lee Majors loved that show.
Yeah, that was the beginning.
He was I guess you would call him a cyber. He was half man, half machine. Bionic is what they called it.
We would
man barely alive. We can rebuild him, make him better, stronger, faster.
I think it's where Gene Roddenberry got the Borg idea.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, they may have. That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know, and this is, since we brought up Star Trek, this is a interesting little tidbit of trivia. The man originally awarded the character of Steve Austin, ate himself out of the part. Name that actor.
I don't know.
William Shatner.
Bill. That doesn't surprise me. That's cute.
Nope. He was supposed to be the $6 Million Man.
Yeah, I still remember when I met him and Leonard Nimoy. That's cute. That's doesn't surprise me.
And Lee was married to Farrah.
Yeah.
Speaking of 70s idols.
Everyone I know had her poster.
Everyone had that poster.
Yeah. I mean, left us way too early. I think about women like her. I think about the same thing with Linda McCartney, Paul McCartney's wife. Good souls. I was actually listening to the Carpenters today, and Karen Carpenter, I still says, had one of the most. Well, she had a voice of an angel, I tell you.
She really did.
Yeah. So
I remember I used to listen to her a lot.
Still do.
Richard was her brother, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
You remember the Captain and Tennille?
I do. Muskrat Love.
I used to like them.
I still do. You know, they had that variety show that was pretty good.
Yeah. Of course, their big song was that. Well, they had a couple big ones. They had the
Well, they had Muskrat Love.
"Love Will Keep Us Together."
Yeah.
That was their
Love,
big one.
love, love.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. You know, I think when my time comes, I'm going to look back and go, what an experience.
And just to be inclusive, Wayne, I would like to point out we mentioned that a lot of people had the Farrah Fawcett poster. Davey had a Lee Majors poster.
Ah.
So you know what? We're never let it be said we're not inclusive on this program.
Yeah. Well, as I said, what a life. I mean,
Starsky and Hutch, loved Starsky and Hutch.
yeah, that was great. Well, MASH, I still remember that. Hill Street Blues, Taxi. There just a lot of great programs, great writing. The Colts, Mary Hartman, late Goodnight Fernwood with Richard Mole, who played the talk show host.
Donnie Marie show was actually pretty good.
Yeah. Sonny and Cher,
Sonny and Cher.
So,
Wow.
it's
even Mac Davis had a show.
Everybody had a show back then. It was the equivalent today of what the reality shows are. They were cheap,
Yeah, they were what they call them, variety shows, and boom, there you were.
They didn't.
Of course, you had the Laugh In, the classics like that.
Laugh In is still great. I got it. I got the DVDs in there because it was great writers. They were funny.
Dark Shadows, Columbo, you mentioned earlier, WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You just let that dangle in there. You never said why you said that.
Well, because the doctor is in. That's what Tony Fever always came in. The doctor is in, and still.
I remember when they got the idea to throw the frozen
turkeys from the Les Nessman. I really thought turkeys could fly. Oh, folks, you got to go watch it on Netflix. I mean,
Columbo.
Yeah.
Soul
Train.
And then there was Dance Fever with Denny Terrio.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Black Sheep Squadron. Baba Black Sheep.
Good one. How about Kojak? The Night Stalker.
I didn't really like Kojak.
Yeah.
The Richard Pryor show. Rich did have a show, as unbelievable as that is.
Yeah. Banachek with George Peppard. I always liked that.
There was a lot of good stuff, man.
So great memories tonight, buddy. That
shows there's a lot of old people in here.
Well, but it defined a culture that will carry forward. It did.
Nobody mentioned Dallas, which is interesting.
Rich Man, Poor Man.
Nancy mentioned Dynasty.
Dynasty is another good one. Yeah.
Of course, George and Wheezy, moving on up.
Yeah.
Barney Miller. There's a lot of Easter eggs dropped in Barney Miller.
Yeah. Barney Miller, the early ones were hilarious.
The original Knight Rider.
I'm a big Bob Newhart fan.
I loved Rick Springfield. Still like Rick Springfield. He was hilarious on
Rock and Roll. Folks, I'll tell you, what a time. What a time.
What a time.
I love it.
Original Mission Impossible.
Bum, bum. How about The Prisoner? Remember that? That was one of the best exports from the BBC.
I remember that. That was really good.
The Avengers, the original Avengers.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen the new Avengers movie?
Anyone? No one.
I need to go see it. I like Batman. I like Wonder Woman.
Isn't the Justice League coming out this weekend?
That's what it is. The Justice League. That's what I meant.
Yep. Well, that's supposed to have the all-star hit people on there.
Yeah. I was very surprised that I liked Wonder Woman. It was really good.
Was it?
Oh, it was fantastic and very spiritual too. And then, of course, Get Smart.
Great.
The Love Boat.
Hogan's Heroes.
Benny Hill.
Yeah. I tell you, folks, this is what makes life. I was today on my program, I was telling that, the statistics that this year has been on people, it's been tough.
Laughed and cried at Justice League. Terry A.
Wow. If that evokes that kind of emotional response, that's a good movie.
How about, remember, Plane.
Yeah,
Plane.
yeah, Fantasy Island. Yes. Oh,
Yep.
I'm telling you, it's
I wouldn't have
amazing.
seen Wonder Woman, but Rex Bear said you got to see it, so I watched it.
And it was good, huh?
Oh, blew me away.
Excellent. Okay.
And she's a really good actress. I know she has ties to, she was in Israeli military or something.
The Mossad?
Mossad, yeah.
Yeah.
She's still
Wow.
a good actress.
Well, she certainly could hold her own.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that. I don't think there would be any groping on that body.
What's her name? Gal Gadot?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, well, this has been fun, my friend.
This is
How
interesting.
long have we been on? Wow.
Over an hour. Probably time to go. An hour and 10 minutes.
So what are you doing for Turkey Day tomorrow? Going over
to my
Mom?
mother's house, which is about 10 miles away.
Okay. Going to have a good meal?
I hope so. My mother doesn't watch this, so just so you know, my mother thinks I'm crazy as well. So,
when you ask someone a question like, well, are you looking forward to a good dinner? And when they hesitate, you know that they're choosing their work.
Actually, I think she said she ordered one from Publix, so it will be a good dinner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the grocery store down here, it sounds gross, but they're actually really good. They put together a real nice meal and deliver it out to you, and you just have to heat it up. And even my mom can heat up a meal.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. We get always the romance of the big dinners, but someone's got to cook all that.
Yeah, and clean it all up.
You got to clean it all up. It's the dishes. Yeah, man,
But folks, you got to think about it. This is Thanksgiving. I'm going to be mentioning the What to Do When You're Dead seminar on Coast to Coast AM. Coast to Coast AM, the largest overnight radio show in the world. So if you think that you want to come to the event, make your reservations before I go on Coast to Coast on the 30th, because I'm figuring people here in Florida are going to hear that and they're going to want to come. So, and we've got to limit it to 100. That's all the space we have.
I think you'd have a little problem with the fire marshal, right?
Yeah, 100 is pushing it, but that's the most we can do.
Well, still say we need to talk about how we could do a pay-per-view event.
Right, I'm still trying to do that, but just for you, if you do want to come, after you have your turkey and before what is that called, tryptophan, or what's this stuff called in turkey?
Yes, it is. It's tryptophan. Yeah.
Before that takes effect, go ahead and make your reservation.
That's going to be fun. I think it's going to be informative. And we've got to begin, here's how to say this, Jeff.
No shows tomorrow, I doubt.
As we continue to evolve.
You're not doing shows tomorrow, are you, Wayne?
Oh, no. No. Do one Friday night. So, yeah. Yep. So I think that we're going to find more and more people awakening to this. They want to have answers. It's like when people begin to understand the God spell as that begins to break.
Happy days.
Happy days. I love it. Laverne and Shirley. Lenny and Squiggy. How many of you remember Mary Hartman?
I didn't like that show.
You didn't like that show? It was a good humor. How about Late Night in Fernwood?
I don't even remember that.
Oh, anyone in the chat room remember that?
I'm the second guest on Coast to Coast. I guess I should be honored that I'm the closer, but I got to stay up till 3 a.m. Wow. I got them on from 3 till 5 a.m. my time.
Thank God for coffee.
Exactly.
That's all I got to say. The world's most legal drug, caffeine. It's amazing what we always perceive as what is a good drug or what is a bad drug. George Carlin's best routine when I saw him live. His whole thing. He says, here's society. He says, you go through school and they tell you drugs, no good. He says, and then you get out in the real world and what do you see? Drugstore. Like, well, we have drugs at the store.
Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, Jeff, man, I appreciate it. Sunday, going to have a good show.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
I think we're going to have a lot of people. They should be well healed from tomorrow's meal. And people don't go crazy on why do we call it Black Friday? I mean, when you start thinking about this, how we put names to things.
The Flying Nun.
Flying Nun, Sally Fields.
Yeah, I don't know why it's called. That's the day after Thanksgiving where everybody goes and shops, right?
Yeah.
Do they do that online?
That's Cyber Monday.
Oh, so Monday. So I should be looking for some stuff on Monday.
Big deals on Monday. I can tell you.
All about Amazon.
That's it. And Amazon, I've got, if you're a Prime customer.
I am.
You already know that they're going to have special deals. I got 2 email alerts on it today.
I'm looking for some nice goth boots.
Well, I say this. I'll make a prediction. The great Carnan. Remember?
Carmack. Wasn't his name Carmack?
Carmack. Yeah, Johnny Carson.
He'd put it up, the envelope up to his head, and then tell you what was inside of it.
Go to Google. I miss that guy. I really enjoyed Johnny. Well, this has been a great evening, I have to say.
He was way better than any of the ones that followed.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Him and Ed McMahon. Yeah. I still remember that infamous interview he did was Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when she brought her cat on board.
I remember that. What was Johnny thinking?
I don't know. Give a month's salary to pet that. I can't say.
He was just crazy.
Oh, I don't know. It's just, but back in those days, it was live television. What can you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff.
He had the one where he had Arnold Palmer's wife on.
Oh, what is her name?
I can't remember.
Maria Shriver. Is it Maria Shriver?
No, Arnold Palmer, not Arnold.
Oh, Arnold Palmer. Okay, yeah.
The golfer.
Okay.
And he asked her, what does she do to give him good luck before he goes on the course? Do you remember that?
His balls.
Yeah. Johnny's like, I bet that.
Oh, I tell you that.
She's like, maybe. She had no idea what he was talking about.
Anyway, we digress. Okay. Jeff, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Always enjoy.
Absolutely. Folks, it was great to have you. I'll probably do another show tonight to tie the ribbon on the Charlie Manson thing, and then we'll be off for Thanksgiving. Something tells me Scotty Roberts is going to want to do a 10 p.m. show, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'll keep you posted. Wayne, enjoy your family. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Everyone out there, enjoy your family. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. And I think we did mention the Partridge Family earlier.
We did. Yep. Come on down and see.
So everybody, come on, get happy.
Get happy.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I'm Jeff Daugherty for R. Wayne Steiger. This has been the Weekly Report. And we will, ladies and gentlemen, see you on Friday, but it won't be Black Friday around here.
Good night, y'all.